Imagine growing up believing the abuse that you were experiencing was somehow your fault because the church told you it was. In today's episode, my guest Heather shares what it was like growing up inside a Pentecostal cult, where silence protected abusers, guilt controlled survivors, and the consequences for her family were devastating. Welcome to the Unholier Podcast. I'm your host, Jenny Smith. Today I'm speaking with Heather, who grew up in the Pentecostal cult and survived sexual abuse within that environment. She shares her story of leaving the cult, the devastating impact it had on her family, and the memoir she's written about reclaiming her voice. But before we begin, I want to give you a quick trigger warning. This episode contains discussions of sexual abuse, religious trauma, and suicide. So please take care of yourself while listening. Thank you for being here today, and let's get started. Heather, when people hear your name for the first time, what do you hope that they understand about you?
That I'm a survivor.
So I think sometimes there's a misconception with healing that people maybe that don't understand, they've never been in an abusive situation, they've never been in a religious cult, so they think, oh, once you get out of it, you're good, right?
Mm-hmm.
But healing is a lifelong process, right? You may have good days and you may have bad days. And those may be few and far between at this point for you because you've been out for however many years. But you still might have some things that come up and trigger you, or you might have a memory that might pop in and you're like, holy, I thought I dealt with this. Kind of how healing is. Would you say that's pretty accurate for you?
100,000% right on the head.
Yeah. So we will get into it later on, but I know that you have come out on the other side of this. You've written a book, and I definitely want to get into that. But like, what was the point where you're like, I'm ready to tell my story?
So I was ready probably in 2017, 2 days after I lost my birth dad. I just was like, there was a series of incidents that kind of occurred where I had seen a picture of the pastor who abused me with one of his daughters on Facebook. Because at the time, I was friends with his daughters on Facebook at the time. Um,
Wow.
we all were so close knit that like after they left, we were friends and whatnot. And so obviously that's changed now. That's not the same. But I had seen this picture and it just totally grossed me out. Like I couldn't like pinpoint it, but I knew something was off. And so I was like, oh, like like something about him just makes me like want to vomit. Like I don't feel like I get creeped out. And so I went to bed that night and had a nightmare of him touching me and doing things. And I was like, whoa, what? And so, I took the steps necessary to obviously bring it into therapy and be like, listen, like, I want to make sure that like I'm remembering this correctly because a lot of individuals who have trauma, sometimes they can get their memories intermixed. And so I wanted to make sure that this was accurate because I had basically blocked that whole thing out. Like I blocked whatever happened out. And so sure enough, I had like 3 nightmares, like 3 nights in a row. And I was like, yeah, so I went to therapy and I was like, yeah, I need to address this. Like this needs to be, I need to talk to my aunt because like my dad just passed away and like I want this out. Like this is before I publicly bring it out. I need to address this with the individuals that I need to address it with. So I literally 2 days after my dad died of lung cancer, I called my aunt and I specifically recalled an incident to her of the time that she let this individual up into my room alone with a bottle of olive oil and a Bible. While she was on while she was on the other phone, while she was on the phone with the leader of the organization who is in Montclair, New Jersey. Literally walked out of my room, shut the bedroom door, and went to her prayer closet for like 2.5, 3 hours. So
What?
while I was in my bedroom, things took place. He did things.
How
Then
old
I
were
was a
you?
minor. Huh?
How old were you?
Oh, I was under the age of 18.
Oh my gosh.
So I literally recalled that whole day because I remember it like it happened yesterday. And so I recalled everything and I said, no, you were on the phone with Martha Davis. Like I specifically remember that.
Mhm.
So she first played the card of, well, I wish you had told me, I had no clue. Okay, that was the first card that
What
she
was she bringing olive oil up into the bedroom for? What was her
Unfortunately.
excuse? What was her excuse? Right.
So yeah, so there, how can I answer this without, so in the Pentecostal cults, when they do their whole deliverance thing, they use olive oil as anointing oil. And so they think that, so my aunt basically, the long story made short, she basically thinks that she was dealing with a spiritual issue and that I needed deliverance, that I needed demons casted out of me. So again, I for my own, I won't get into it, but he was sexually abusing me while casting demons out of me and rubbing olive oil all over me. And that is a chapter in my book for over an hour.
Oh
Now,
my
the
God.
second card. So the first time she said she didn't know. And that I hadn't told her. When I said, well, he threatened me, she's like, what do you mean? She tried to play dumb. And I was like, well, he threatened to hurt Nicole if I said anything. And then she was
And
like,
Nicole is your sister?
Nicole is my sister, yes.
Okay.
And so then she played the card of, I'm trying to remember that day. Like I don't, like I know, like I walked up the stairs and I saw your window open and it was sunny and it was in the afternoon and we had just gotten home from wherever. And I'm like, Cynthia, are you really trying to sit here and justify? Like, are you trying to make an excuse? And then she finally comes out and says, yes, I know that Al Aldridge had sexually abused his daughters prior. There is a confession of that on a legal pad and on a tape recorder sitting in the office of Praise, Power, and Prayer, which is the cult that I escaped from in Windsor, Connecticut. So that being said, I went off on her. I said, so you knew, and you still allowed him in your home. You've been allowing him in your home to do these things to me. That's not okay. And she's like, well, I was a single parent. I was doing the best that I could. I thought I was dealing with a spiritual issue. And if I remember, and if you don't remember how out of control you were. So that's what they say. They use that out of control as a tactic of trying to shame you, submit you to believe that like, oh, it was really my fault. So that's how I told her, and that's how it all went down, and that's how I broke it out. And then I sent a letter to Al Aldridge letting him know that, yo, I know what you did. My sister knows what you did. And in about 24 hours, the whole world is going to know what you did. And then I wrote a letter to the current leader of this organization, Ray McMahon, and I also let him know as well. I said, you were a part of it. You sat there and watched the whole thing go down, not just at the house, but at the organization, and you sat there and you did nothing. So that's ultimately how it all came out. And so I started coming on TikTok and I blasted him. I took his pic. I found pictures of him. I blasted him. And I knew, like, obviously I had some intent and some goals in there, which was just to, let people know, like, stay away from this dude. And I knew at one point his daughters or one of his daughters would be reaching out because they all have TikTok. Well, 2021, I get a Facebook message from his youngest daughter and basically saying, look, my sisters and I, we see our dad being posted. We're sorry that he did that to you, but we don't want to be involved. Don't tag our names in it. Don't mention us. Basically confirming that he was a piece of shit dad to them, which confirming already what I knew. And so I knew that they were going to reach out. I just wasn't expecting that kind of a response. I was expecting them to come after me, and they didn't. And you have to remember, like, I hadn't seen his youngest daughter. The last time I saw her, she was in second grade. So there's just a lot there. And she's like, and she confirmed and validated, like, yeah, your aunt treated you like garbage. And I hated seeing that. And so that really confirmed a lot of things in all of that. They can't come forward because of the repercussions their dad will have on them for coming forward. So I said, fine, like I'll respect your privacy, but I said, if you ever do choose to come forward, this is who you need to talk to. This is where you need to go. And I said, if you ever feel like you want to go after my aunt legally, I 100% back that up. So they support me, but they don't. Like, it's kind of one of those iffy situations,
And I was thinking too, as you were saying that, because of the cult that this is in, and people don't understand these evangelical cults are still cults, even though for all intents and purposes, they might seem normal from the outside. They are very much a cult on the inside. If you are a member and you're involved, that's what I was thinking. Like, the daughters may have been like, good for Heather for speaking out, good for you, but they're not going to necessarily say good for you, but they're not going to be like, stop talking about my dad. It's kind of like they're sort of towing that line between like giving you props, but also they don't want to say that, because then that would be like going against the cult leader, so to speak, because people who are listening that do not understand what it's like, they think like, well, why don't you just leave? Or why don't you just stop going to that church? Or they don't understand the level of control. Like, we are taught, if you go against the quote unquote man of God, that like something terrible is going to happen to you. Even if you're in a terrible situation within that cult, you think that whatever is going to happen if you leave is going to be 10 times worse than that.
Yeah. And the thing is like, and they're going up against their dad. Like, they don't.
That too. I mean, in and of itself is a hard dynamic, but guys like that, they put themselves, the cult, the church that these cults are, they put the man of God, as they call him, on this pedestal that they are like untouchable, and that if you try to take them down, that you are in danger of God's wrath or in danger of going to hell. So you're like, well, that virtually makes them untouchable, right?
Yeah, much.
Okay, so I just want to ask, like, your parents, you live with your aunt at that point. You're not with your parents, or?
So ultimately, how this came about, I was taken from the foster care system. I was adopted for all intents and purposes. I was legally adopted through the state of Maine. My birth mom's a drug or alcoholic, still is, unfortunately. And my dad just had he has special needs as well. And, in the 80s, it was, DCF makes you jump through hoops regardless, no matter what year. But especially back in the 80s, when there wasn't a lot of support for men for trying to be a single dad, he didn't have a lot of support. He had his mom, which is my grandmother, but and that was all great, but he needed more support. And they were asking him, they were demanding him to basically get a 3-bedroom house, 2 jobs, and he just couldn't do it. So he did try, although he should have tried harder in some other aspects of my life, but at during that time frame, he tried. And there was just, so from there, it was in and out of the foster care system for 8.5 years. Just it starting from bio mom back to foster homes, back and forth, until finally the judge was just like, yeah, we're done. You've had 8 years. You've had more than enough time to get it together. You're done. So my dad gave up his rights, and then my birth mom's rights were severed. They were legally terminated. And so that kind of led my aunt into the door of, well, let's try to keep them in the family. Let's try to keep the girls together. Because that is unfortunately DCF thing. They want to keep siblings together. They want to
Sure.
bring them back into the family. I don't necessarily agree with bringing them back to bio, but everybody is different. Every case is different. And so my dad was like, yeah, like anything I can do to like see them, you know, if that means keeping them in the family, let's do it. So my aunt literally portrayed it as, well, the Lord told me that the girls were going to belong to me, that they're mine. So she went on like it took her 3 years to file like all the paperwork, everything to come through. So much so that everything was signed, documented, and ready to go on February 13th of 93 or 94. I always get the year confused. And then she actually picked us up in a blizzard on February 14th. That is just how that played out. Yeah. And I was
Valentine's Day.
Yes.
Oh, that, yeah.
And I was sick with bronchitis that day too. I was like, oh. Hey.
Oh my
So
God.
yeah. So we were picked up in a blizzard. And if anybody's been in Maine, you know, winters there are harsh. And so it's a blizzard. You want to be prepared. But yeah, so that's kind of how it all happened. And then even from there, like from that day, there were already signs. There were signs that like she was not ready for what was about to walk into her life. Like, to take care of foster care kids, you have to go through trauma classes. You have to go through a certain level of training. You can't just take a kid and be like, yeah, okay. And
Right.
for her, it was, she wanted to fix me through the church. Like that was her vision. Well, she doesn't need therapy. She doesn't need psychiatric treatment. Like the Lord's going to heal her. And that may sound beautiful. I don't know. The reality is that's not true. Like you can't. There is no healing that way. Like nothing's getting healed. What's getting healed? Because I still have all this. Like she thought she could heal me having fetal alcohol syndrome by casting demons out of me every weekend. Like it's just by going to 48-hour revival services with no food. She thought like she'll just get healed. She'll go to like anything to get this out of me, and anything from, they don't like it if there's kids brought in from the foster care system, because that means they're bringing in demons, they're bringing in these things. And so I was brainwashed to believe that me having fetal alcohol syndrome and me having my trauma and PTSD is indeed a result of my disobedience. I disagree with that, obviously. No, let's take, instead of taking accountability and saying, oh, well, her biological mother did these things to her. So there's instead of taking on that aspect of it, they just go straight to well, I was in disobedience or I did something, what Pentecostals do. So that in a nutshell is just how there were just red flags the first night there, the whole week, the first week in the house, the first night, she didn't know how to handle me. I had a complete meltdown. She thought I was trying to get attention. Even my sister Nicole was trying to tell her, like, no, like you literally just moved us like 5 states away. Like we don't know where we are. Like our rooms are bare. Like you just took us from a home that we were with for 3.5 years. Like, what did you expect? Did you expect her to come to and just be like, oh yeah, this is reality? Like, no, this is traumatizing. And so we actually had to call my foster mom and get her on the phone. That was the only way she could calm me down, was to get my foster mom on the phone and be like, Heather's freaking out. I don't know what to do. And again, she was warned. Like my aunt was warned by said foster family. Cynthia, this is a bad idea. We see that you love your nieces, but this is going to backfire. Like she was warned. She was warned. And I can promise you, and I can say this with my full chest, it has completely backfired on her. Now, on every level, it has backfired. So much so. I know I'm jumping ahead, but so much so, she was escorted off church property 2 years ago, okay? At my sister's service. So that's a whole different story. But yeah, that we'll get there. But yeah, my aunt has been warned, like that this is backfired, like everything. And she was just like, no, the Lord's going to heal her, blah, blah, blah. Nope. So there were signs the first night. I mean, just there was neglect. Then there's just things that happened where she would leave us out in the car by ourselves at 9 o'clock at night. Well, she's in her prayer closet on the phone praying. And then, my sister and I, one thing after another, we messed around in the car. The car started rolling down the driveway and I got pinned under the car. True story.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I got pinned under. So Nicole was sitting in the front. Okay, but the whole story though, like, who in their right mind, what parent would leave their 8 and 9-year-old in the car at 8 o'clock at night, pitch black, dark, like unattended without an adult, right? Like that's just I think everybody would know, like that's not okay. Like, you wouldn't do that. And so my sister wanted to know what the little lever in the middle in the front and between the front seat did, right? Typical child. So she moved it and it started rolling down the driveway. We both got out and I realized I left my doll in my purse.
Oh,
And
no.
so I know, child problems, priorities,
Yeah.
right? And so
Oh.
I went while the car was moving down the driveway. I ran to it, opened the door, jumped in, got my doll, got my purse, went to get back out, and literally fell and got pinned under the right side of the car. And so the right side of the car, like the tires were rolling up and down my leg at least 10 times. I was screaming, belting for help. And like my sister ran into the house and was like, oh, like Heather's pinned under the car, blah, blah, blah. And so my aunt's yelling at her, like, how did this even happen? What were you doing? Like, you were supposed to be watching her. And she's still on the phone. So
Who was she on the phone with?
Martha Davis, the head leader of the organization. Yeah. So the cops somebody calls the cops, and our family friend showed. And my aunt told the cops that, oh, well, there was somebody breaking into the house. There was no breaking. And the cops searched, like the cops went around the backyard. We had like an acre of land. Like we had a pretty big yard. And so like they went around the back patio. They were like, no, there's been no forced entry. There's nothing. Nobody's. So even the cops knew she was lying. Like, what are you talking about? Like, and the cops even told her, like, if somebody had been breaking into your house, you wouldn't have been on the phone in the house. You would have been outside. So even law enforcement was calling her BS out.
Yeah.
And so nothing broke. I just got bruises for 3 weeks and had to wear a thing, and my sister had to cater to my every need.
Wow, you got really lucky there.
Mm-hmm.
Truly.
And at the end of it, my sister obviously took the hit, like, I'm really sorry. And I said, no, like, you did what I would have done. You just had the balls to do it. Like, we both wanted to pull that thing. And it's like we were kids, but the real person to blame is our aunt. Like, where was she? Like, she shouldn't have been leaving us alone in the car. Right. And so those were like the red flags. Like, no, you don't leave 2 young girls in the car at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night. Like, that's not. And then like the next day, like the leader of the organization came and was like screaming at me and telling me that I needed to repent for being disobedient and not listening that night in the car. And that, yeah, it was a whole thing. So it was all my fault, apparently.
So you guys were so close in age, so you were close growing up. You did everything together, right?
Pretty much for the first 9 years of our lives. Yeah.
Yeah. So when you got essentially adopted by your aunt, how old were you at that point?
So I was 8 and my sister was.
So you guys were 8 and 9. That was right after then. Right after she took you guys.
Yeah. She was about to be 10. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Okay. So you essentially grew up in this cult. It wasn't like you joined when you were 16, 17, 18 years old.
I grew up in it.
Yeah. Was there ever a point, even as a child, where you were like, this is screwed up? Like, this place is not right? Or did it take you till you were well into your teenagers to figure that out?
So like when I was like younger, like I didn't really pay attention, to be honest. Face it, I was 8.
Yeah. But I just think about, because I know Pentecostals, they like speak in tongues and things like that. I feel like that would be scary to see
Mhm.
Like, if I was a
No,
kid.
so when I realized something was off was when they started doing the all-night prayer meetings quite frequently, and then they do, like, Bible studies that turned into be, like, deliverance services, and so there is one specific Wednesday where we were there, and we were all at the altar, and of course, like, my sister and I, we were out cold in like 2 seconds. Like, we're going to sleep.
Yeah. You're
And
like, "This is
so
boring. Time for a
right.
nap."
And
Yeah.
so I when I woke up, I looked next to me, and I literally saw my aunt Al Aldridge and then Ray McMahon at the piano singing CC Winan songs, and they were my aunt and Al were holding a paper towel under this person's mouth. And this individual was my third grade teacher, whom I adored. And so I looked up, I was like, what's going on? Like, what? And they were
Was she
literally,
vomiting?
yeah, like they were forcing her to like repent and cast demons out of her. And like they were forcing her to throw up. So like literally seeing her kneeling or like bending over in her own vomit, like that's when I was like, this isn't okay. Like, and then because the school and the organization's all one building, I had to go back to the building the next morning to go to school. And I had to sit in her classroom and see her and be like, I can't say anything. Awkward situation. And I mean, there's no lightheartedness to what happened. And this happened all the time. But I was just like, yeah, this isn't okay. And then it turned on to me, and then I just started getting devils casted out of me, and then I was getting sexually abused. So it's just
And that
nightly.
started when you were before you were 18. It didn't start when you were like 9, right?
So I will just say the abuse started immediately as soon as I entered the home.
Oh, that makes me want to vomit, honestly. It's terrible. And of course, I'm sure they used it as, under the guise of Christianity, and we're saving your soul, right?
Yeah, it was more of like a punishment thing.
Mm.
But and I got the brunt of it, like every little thing, like even like keeping my sister's escape a secret. Like I was sexually abused for that, for not telling.
So your sister escaped the house.
Yeah, she
How
escaped. She escaped in 2001.
how old was she when she escaped?
So let's see, oh, you're gonna make me go back. She was actually entering her freshman year of college. So she was 18.
Okay. So she was like, "Screw this. I'm done. I'm out of here."
Yeah, so shockingly, interestingly enough, my sister didn't even want to go to college. That was not her thing. Like she didn't want to go to school. She wanted to be a cop. That was her dream, to be a cop. She went to the training for it. She went to the academy. Like she went to like police explorers, all for it. Like she was gun ho, signed up, even though like my aunt signed her up against her will. Like my aunt didn't want it basically, and my aunt
Mhm.
fought her for it. And my sister's like, no, this is something I really want to do. And so to appease her, she let her do it. And of course, she was enjoying it. And my aunt was freaking out, like, I can't believe they would let her have a gun and have a stun gun and all this stuff. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure they're watching her. They're not gonna just let her have a weapon like it was a stun gun, but still
Mhm.
the essence of a gun, right? And so they were like,
Yeah.
we're not gonna, like I said, Cynthia, I think they know what they're doing. They're not just handing her a gun and say, here, have at it. Like they're trained officers, like they're training her. And of course, I was rebuked for stepping in and defending my sister. And then they wanted to sign her up. They're like, yeah, like we want you in the academy. We're ready to do this. And my sister, this is something that like Nicole bragged about. Like she would go to school the next day and be like, dude, I got to use a stun gun last night. Like, oh, like she was all for it. And they were like,
Mhm.
oh, can you bring it? Like, we want to see it. And she's like, no, like we're not allowed to do that. She was all like, couldn't be more happier about that whole thing. And
Mhm.
in her element, like she loved it. And cult leaders got word that she wanted to sign up and be a cop, and they told her no. And next thing I know, that weekend, my aunt is handing her a bunch of Christian college brochures and universities. And my sister's like, look, I don't want to do this. Like, this is to see the crush, like to see my sister's face just completely drop. Like, I don't want to do this. Like, this isn't what I want to do.
Yeah.
And the whole concept was, well, you're being selfish. Have you prayed about it? Have you prayed about it? If I hear that one more time, have you prayed about it? Or like, what is God telling you to do? And my sister's like, I don't want to go. Like, this isn't something I want to do. And so my sister quickly had to come up with like a major study, and she went into social work, which obviously I know that that's what she, and 4 years, and she went into a Christian college, and that's how she got out. She planned it from the T. Like, she started spilling the beans at home, like on campus, like, this is what's going on. And of course, like, her fear of going meant leaving me behind. She's like, because I told her, I'm like, Nicole, this is your way out. Go do it. This is your way out. And she's like, but I don't want to leave you behind because I know what's going to happen to you. Like, I know what they're going to do to you. So that piece of, I'm leaving my special needs sister behind, and that she's being abused, and like, that means I have to leave her, and it's going to get worse. And she's not wrong. It got worse. And so in summer of 2021, my sister had called, we were having a conversation, and she had told me privately, she's like, hey, just to let you know, like, I got a job. And I was like, that's great. Security campus. Like, she got a job working for security campus, because they have this thing where if you can find a job, you can live on campus, right? And that's a lot of campuses offer that. And so she's like, heck yeah, if that means free room and board for the summer, I'll do it. And so she's like, just don't say anything, because like, I know Cynthia's gonna flip her. Our aunt's gonna flip her. And I was like, you got it. Lips sealed. I don't know what you're talking about. Like, I kept that secret till until the end of time. I said, I don't know what you're talking about. And she was like, okay.
Yeah.
So she planned it. Like, she coordinated it. She was like, okay, what are we gonna do? And so that November of 2021, she came home for Thanksgiving, and she's like, yeah, I'm leaving Saturday instead of whatever day. So she left a day early, which was in her works, but not in my aunt's works. Like, my aunt was expecting her to be home longer. And I just remember my sister going upstairs and grabbing a bunch of stuff. And I was like, oh, this is it. Like, she grabbed her flute. She was grabbing all her things and grabbing her favorite sweatshirt. And I was like, oh, okay, this is it. So I knew. And so she got all her stuff. And then basically my aunt found out, like, wait, I thought you were staying longer. She's like, no, I have to be at work at such and such a time. That's how she got out. Like, my aunt literally flipped her crap, but she left. She's like, I'm not coming home. Like, I have to go to work. And that's how it was for every summer after that. Every holiday after that was like, yeah, I'll be home for Thanksgiving, but I'm not staying. I'm coming to see Heather, but I'm not staying. And so my aunt literally, and she was adamant about, make sure you pack your Bible. You make sure you have your Bible. Well, secretly, what she doesn't know is that I hid my sister's Bible in my doll cradle. I took it for her. I was like, let me have this. I'll go hide it. But we hid a lot of things in that doll cradle. And so we're just like, just go. Like, I get it. And so that there were repercussions. There were the repercussions for me for holding that secret and not spilling the beans. I was sexually abused that night.
And that was by the pastor. So the pastor that was there at the time was the one that SA'd you. Okay.
Yeah.
So he's not there any longer?
No, actually, he and his family got kicked out right before I did.
How did they get kicked out?
Right. Yeah. So this is the pattern. They either get kicked out or they leave on their own. From what I remember, they were asked to leave because they were doing like witchcraft abominations, and Al wasn't getting right with the Lord. And there was this remember that confession I had said earlier that my aunt had recorded, and he was asked to step down and get right with God. And I guess that wasn't happening. And so they're like, yeah, you have to leave.
Do you know what
So,
happened to him after he left?
so I've heard some things. Unfortunately, they went to a different church.
Weird. I knew you were
Yeah,
going to say that.
yeah, they went to a different church with a Christian school, and they sent
Oh
the
my God.
younger, they sent the 3 younger daughters to that school and their son. And from what I have seen from one of the younger daughters on her TikTok at the time, it didn't go well. She experienced some abuse as well. But that's just what I've heard. I've also heard that in 2010 he got cancer. I don't feel sorry for him, and he's okay now. But
Mm.
from my understanding, he has no relationship with his children. That was made clear to me with the youngest daughter that reached out to me, was like, my sisters and I, we don't speak to him. There is no relationship there. There is no communication, except for the oldest one. The oldest one has children, and he sees her and the grandchildren. And I'm not surprised, given that it was his 3 oldest ones that he sexually abused.
Oh my gosh. Why would you let your kids around him? I don't
So
understand. That I will
yeah,
never understand that.
yeah, I don't either. Then back it up to 2021, I decided to fly out to Connecticut to confront him face to face. He attempted to break into my hotel room, claiming to be housekeeping.
Wait, what? Okay.
Mhm.
All right, hold on. So how did you know where he ended up like landing?
I found out just through several different people that have seen my TikToks and have reached out to me. So word travels.
Yeah, so he knew you were in town because
Yes, someone
somebody
leaked.
tipped him off.
Yep, and I know who. Yep. And I called down to the front desk and I was like, there's no way that was housekeeping.
So was he like in full-time ministry again? Was he like a pastor or an assistant pastor or
Oh, I
anything like
don't
that?
think so.
Okay.
I don't think he does. I know he's involved in his church, but I don't know to what extent. I don't have any of that info. I don't know if he's ever, I don't think so, but I know
Mhm.
he's active in his community and active in his church, and that's why like his daughters are not speaking up.
So for people who are listening who maybe aren't familiar with like the deliverance ministry, and I put air quotes around that, let's talk about that for a second because that to me, when I think of religious trauma, that's extremely traumatic.
Yeah.
Even if you're not like a participant, even just watching it can be very traumatic.
Yeah.
It's wild. So let's explain that for people who are like, what the
It's
heck is the
it's
deliverance?
wild. It's wild.
Mhm.
Okay. It kind of goes in with the whole like revival services and the 24-hour prayer service. Yeah. So deliverance service is literally an altar call, so to speak, where you're going up saying that you want to be delivered from a biblical sin or something that you're doing that you know is biblically wrong, whether that's cheating, lying, whatever it may be. And then some of them will come down the row and they'll just lay you out in the spirit on the floor. Other times they'll take their hand and push on your forehead and like push you back, and they'll scream at you saying things like, a devil, you need to come out of her now, and they'll command the demon to come out of you. Or it will be in a situation like we had talked earlier about seeing my teacher vomiting.
Mhm.
So it kind of happens in those type of settings, and we played the game to survive. That's what we did.
Yeah.
And we came up with just just to
Yeah.
get going, like, okay.
And so and it really became kind of a game to you guys. Like I'm gonna go up there and
Mhm,
tell
mhm,
him this and it
yep,
yeah, I
yep.
could see that.
It
Like,
was a
yeah.
whole thing when it came to like 7-day fast with no food, and you had to like give up 2 meals, and the questions were asked, okay, well, what do you want to focus on? And like my sister and I use this against each other because she'd be like, yeah, I want to work on having more patience with Heather. And I'd like, we would recant it and then I would get
Yeah.
rebuked for it, we'd try to make some fun out of it.
Yeah.
But they always egged her on. And then it was like, well, you need to, this is what, if you really want to be delivered from this, then you need to fast from this. And so being kids, like, let me just make this loud and abundantly clear. It is never okay to make any child go without a meal. Like one meal, let alone two. No. And that's
Kids' appetites be crazy. I mean, I can't even keep food in this house. They are eating me out of house and home. So I don't even understand how you could have a kid fast for 24 hours. I
yes.
mean, that's also very unhealthy for a child who's still developing. I mean, their blood sugar and everything, their levels will drop. That could cause major issues. But that's not good at all.
No, and that's how the prayer services, the overnight prayer services went too. Is 24-hour prayer service, all night prayer service that would lead in. It would start at 6:30 on Friday night and wouldn't end until 4 o'clock the next afternoon. And we were hungry. Like we went back to the house and we just got whatever we could because we were starving. Like no,
you're hungry, you're
extra
tired, you're all those things. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what's really weird is when you were telling me that and I've seen this on TV. I've seen the Benny Hinns and the Kenneth Copelands and I've seen all of those where they take the palm of their hand and they push it against the forehead and the person falls down or starts convulsing or whatever they do. By the time this episode airs, it's going to be probably 2 or 3 weeks from the time that the episode with Kirsten, the psychic medium, airs. Hers is coming out tomorrow. So that's going to be, what is tomorrow's date? February 10th. Okay. So for anyone listening, if you haven't heard Kirsten's episode yet, please go listen to it. It will make sense what I'm saying. So Kirsten is a psychic medium. I've never had a psychic medium on this platform before. I think she's fascinating. I think she's amazing. I think she is full of all things light and love. I mean, I was so energized after talking to her. I could just talk to her for hours. She's just so intriguing to me. But one of the things that she said was that people can absorb negative energies and negative entities, i.e., demons, from the palms of their hands and the soles of their feet. So, and I didn't think to ask her this when we were going into this whole talk about that, but I don't know if your church did this, but we always had this part in the service where we would greet each other and everyone would shake hands. And she even said, she's like, you can get a transfer of energy from shaking a person's hand, touching a doorknob of somebody that has a bad entity, like a bad negative vibration, and it will absorb through the palms of your hand. She also, I know about chakras. So we talked about chakras, right? So this is where your third eye is.
Right there.
That's your third eye. This is where your mind says, it's where the alarm bells are going to go off. If something isn't right, your third eye is going to tell you. So they take the palm of their hand and they push it against your third eye. That, I don't know. Maybe I'm reading into it. I just think it's weird. It's just coincidental. I'm just saying. When you were telling me that, I was like, oh my gosh, I never thought about that.
Yeah.
There might be something to it. I don't know. I'll have to ask her. Kind of weird though that they do that. And I've seen them where they actually slap people on the forehead.
Yeah.
Now, what's the difference? Is it this person really has a worse sin than this person? Because this person might just get pushed. And this person might get straight up
They're
slapped.
the same. It just means that the demon is harder to get out.
Okay. How is the demon exiting out? That's what I want to know.
No, that's what I want to know because apparently it hasn't worked.
Where is the demon coming out of you from?
Right.
Because, according to Kirsten, she said that basically if you have a negative energy or like an evil entity that you feel you're being possessed or oppressed with, that you can demand that it leave and it has to go, it has to obey you.
That's true.
But I don't think you need to do all this like holy water and freaking olive oil and all this other. Like, that's not going to do anything to a demon. A demon is an entity, it's a spirit. So why would all of that rigmarole do anything to it?
Your guess is mine.
Be like, you are being evicted, leave. Oh my gosh, it's so weird, isn't it? I mean, cults are so weird. They're just, I don't know. I've gotten to the point where I really think that all organized religions are somewhat culty.
They are. All of them.
They really are. Like when you step back and look at it.
Mm-hmm.
And I always tell people it's like there is a spectrum where you might have some that are a little bit like cult-ish and they might not be super controlling, or you might not have one specific leader, but they're cultish. And then you have like straight up hardcore cult like over here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Straight so up. Yours sounds more on this end of it.
Yep. Yep. True story.
Yeah. Okay. When you were coming up to like 17, 18 years old, where did you have in your head where you're like, I'm getting out like my sister? Did you have like a game plan? You didn't. You just felt like you were trapped. Like there's no way I can get out of this.
Yeah, there was no way. So I will say this, that I didn't plan it. I just did it, and I left with a knife to my throat. I literally tried to take my own life. That's how I got out.
Oh my gosh.
In 2006, my aunt had pulled me out of my last year of this special needs program in Boston that I was in. And she had, it's a mess. This whole story is in my book, by the way. Like this, because I can't really, like, we'd be here for another 2 hours if I tried to tell you everything. But
yeah, and we don't want to give too many things out because I want people to go and get your book. I want people to read your book. Yeah.
So basically, she pulled me out, right? Because I'm not in obedience and I'm not doing what the cult is asking me to do, which is breathe, sleep, pray, to talk to Jesus every 2 seconds of the day on campus. And I was committing fornication. Okay. So she picked me up, left me on the side of a freeway in a hotel in Boston, Cambridge, Massachusetts to be exact, and told me I had 3 nights and 3 days to repent, yada, yada, yada. Played the game, right? And I remember I was talking to my college best friend. I was talking to my best friends at college. I'm like, what do we do? Like, I don't, like, I want to stay here, but I'm not allowed. And their hands were tied. They were not allowed. There was nothing that they could have done. And so I went back to Connecticut, and my stuff wasn't even allowed inside. I was literally I was only allowed to take the bare minimum. And she's like, okay, like, you're not allowed to be in the house alone. You need to go to find work. I'm dropping you off at the mall tomorrow. And she would, for like the next 2 weeks, I was being dropped off at different malls from like 8 in the morning until 5 o'clock at night. No money for food, no nothing. So I had finally found a job. And of course, because I'm special needs, like I didn't really know how to fill out a job application. I didn't really know like what to do. And finally found a job. Came home that night, went to another 8-hour service, and Ray McMahon had already gotten the 411 on me about what I had supposedly done. And so I just was like, I need to talk to somebody. At this point, the 3rd grade teacher had already left the organization. She had been out like a couple of years. And I was trying to talk to one of her kids because I still talk to her kids. And I was like, hey, can I talk to your mom? And trying to get her on the phone. I was also in contact with my birth mom at the time too. So I'm like, what do I do? My birth parents were like furious. They're like, no, we know you didn't do anything wrong. Like, we're livid. This is not okay. And like, what can we do? What are we going to do? and even Nicole didn't know really what to do. She was surviving herself. She had just escaped. Like, she was just trying to figure it out all on her own. So she wasn't really like anything that she did to help at the time. It's like, okay, great. And so that night, came home. I was in the kitchen. My aunt was in her prayer closet, and I was making lunch for the next day. And I had a butcher knife and I was cutting some stuff. And she came out and was like demanding to know who I was talking to on the phone, and basically saying, you have no business speaking to your dad. Like, I run this house, like I'm in charge, not your dad. And like just saying that like I had no business talking to my birth mom. And basically she caught on to the fact that I was trying to expose what was going on. And in that moment, I took that butcher knife, and I actually still have the scar on the side of my neck, like right here. And I drove it in as much as I could. And then I threw the knife down on the counter and I said, I'm done. Like, next thing I know, she called the cops. I was like literally trying to hide in my closet. And next thing I know, there's a pound on the door, and it's freaking 5 cops. And they had my hands behind my back, which, by the way, they handled that wrong. Like, someone with trauma and PTSD, you don't want to do that to.
Right.
Yeah,
And
with the
also,
cop.
are you not gushing blood?
No, because I didn't really cut.
Oh,
It was like the tip of it. So it was the tip of the knife, and I just put the tip of it, like I did enough to like make a mark, but not bleed.
oh my gosh.
Yeah, to get the point across, like, this is serious. And so they're like, listen, obviously something's going on. Like, you can go, or we can make you go. And I was like, get me out now. Get me out. So I went to St. Francis Hospital in Hartford, Connecticut. I was under 48-hour watch. And 48 hours later, the social worker's like, yeah, you're good to go home. Call your aunt, have her come get you. Called my aunt, and she was basically like, no, I told you I was done. The Lord's done as well. Like, you're on your own. You're not coming back here. And she's like, yeah, you're not welcome back until you've made things right. So, of course, the social worker had some colorful words to say and was like, you got to take her somewhere if you're not going to take her home. And so the current lead pastor, Ray McMahon, showed up with my aunt in the car together, picked me up, dropped me off at a homeless shelter in Manchester, Connecticut, 9 o'clock at night. So walking into this homeless shelter and literally seeing pedophiles and a convicted killer,
Oh
and
my
then
God.
having a mom and a single mom and a daughter next to me. That's what I was sleeping next to all night. And basically was said the same things. 2 days later, Ray came with his 15 passenger red and white van, showed up with my aunt and dumped my stuff in the parking lot of the said homeless shelter because my birth mom decided to come get me. My sister was like, listen, like, if Melanie, our birth mom, is saying she'll come get you and help you, go. Like, I know it's not safe. I know it's not ideal, but it's going to get you where you need to go. And so met my birth mom for the first time in 2006. That was a nightmare I wish to never relive. She
Oh my
showed up
gosh.
drunk and drove all the way back home to Maine drinking. Yes, I know that was I know, wasn't my best moment, but when you're in the moment, when you're surviving, you're going to do what you got to do.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
that is how I ultimately escaped. And then 2 years later, I went back to the house to get all my stuff.
Okay. And then when you went back, was your aunt there or
Oh, there
did
was a show. There was a show. She
okay.
called up all the elders.
Oh gosh.
And so similar with Nicole, like, her stuff was thrown out on the front lawn. She wasn't allowed in the house. All her stuff was thrown out on the front lawn. And my stuff, I went to go get because there were still there. I was like, there's no way. Like, she had brought most of it down, but I was like, no, I'm still missing some stuff. Like, there was a dollhouse that my foster parents had given me. Like, I wanted to go get it. And I had friends that were with me at the time. And I said, Kathy, this is good. This can go down 2 ways. Either she can let me go up and let me get my stuff, or we can call the police and
Mhm.
they will escort me upstairs. So my aunt didn't want to deal with that. She didn't want to deal with the police because the police, in a Pentecostal, like, the police are evil. Like, they're evil people.
Sure. Well, yeah, because the police could sniff out some and be like,
Mhm.
there's there's something weird going on.
Yep.
Maybe it needs
And
to be
so,
investigated.
yep. And so she let me up, let me get all the stuff. And as I was walking up to my room, I could see in my sister's room that like all her furniture was gone. The walls had been repainted. The blinds had been taken down, like literally as if we didn't exist. So I got all my stuff and I said, this is it. We're done. And oh, yeah, she had elder after elder after elder there. And they were just staring me down and like smiling. And I was like, dude, like, don't even talk to me. And so after that, it was like a back and forth of manipulation with my aunt. Like she would reach out or she'd be like, well, I just got this bill in the mail with your name on it, like trying to reach out and have contact with me. And then we finally broke it off. We're just like, no, we're done. Like, you don't get to do this. And Nicole had broken it off as well. And then fast forward to 2023, I lost my sister to suicide the day before her 41st birthday. So she never saw 41. I was like, okay, I got to get home. My foster parents didn't want me knowing. Like, they literally did everything to keep this from me, including making a public post about it. And then coming
So
home.
your foster parents knew about your sister taking her life before you did?
Mhm. Oh,
Wow.
I was the last to find out. Do you know how? Tell you how I found out. I found out on TikTok.
What? From who?
So August 6th of 2023, I woke up, started my day like every other, like coffee, espresso with the oat milk, whole thing, journaling, the art. And then I scrolled the social medias and I had seen a picture on one of my foster sisters' Facebook page. I'd seen she had updated her profile picture, her picture, and it was like a family picture with my sister in it, which I should be there, but hey, whatever. Kind of like a slap in my face, but like, okay, cool, whatever. It's the typical family picture, right? And they were all wearing t-shirts that said "For Tough." And I was like, and then I was looking at the comments and everyone was saying like, oh, she was such a sweet person, like she'll be missed. And I was like, what? And so I went on to another foster sister's page where she had a picture. Her profile picture was exactly her and my sister. And I was looking, and then they had the family photo, and I was looking, and I was like, same kind of comments. This is so sad. So I'm confused as all hell because I'm like, oh, maybe like maybe our foster mom's cancer came back, whatever. That's what I went to. So I reached out to the first foster sister. I was like, is everything okay? And she's like, no, and I can't talk about it. I said, is mom okay? And she's like, yeah, she's fine. And I get blocked.
What?
Yep.
Why?
They don't want me to know. So I reached out to foster brother's biological sister and was like, listen, I need to know what's going on. I'm seeing these photos and clearly nothing is wrong with foster mom. Like something's going on. And she was reaching out in the background. And I was basically told, this is what I was told verbatim from this foster brother. I can't say anything. You're going to have to wait for the obituary to come out.
Had you and your sister lost contact with each other?
Mhm.
You did.
Yeah,
Okay.
we did not get along. No, we were not. So of course I'm rampant livid. And so I got on TikTok and I demanded, like I went live and I demanded. I was like, if anybody know, like I was saying her name, I was like, anybody know her? Because at the time, that's when I found her LinkedIn page. And on her LinkedIn page, it had said that she moved back to Maine and that she got a security job working at Target. And if anybody knows, like when you take a security job at Target, but you were a cop, like you were a dispatcher, you're kind of going down on that lower level of pay. That's not something that Nicole would have done. She moved back to Maine and I was like, okay. I was like, well, this is interesting. I wasn't made aware of all that, but whatever. And so I was like, yeah, she works at Target. And so finally a girl got on and she's like, yeah, is her name Nicole Ford? And I was like, yeah. I said, she worked for the Boston Police Department. And she's like, yeah, Nicole was supposed to come in for shift tonight at Target and she never showed up. And I was like, okay. And I was like, do they know? Like, and they're saying that she passed away. And they're like, do you know from what? And the girl was like, they're saying it was suicide.
Oh my gosh.
So I make a post, obviously, with pictures and everything like that. And foster mom's like, can you just take that down? Because like we just want to remember her the way she should be. And like we were trying to keep this all private. And I was like, you didn't do a good job of keeping it private because I found out. And I said, second of all, if Nicole didn't want anybody knowing where she lived, then putting that she moved back to Maine on her LinkedIn account was probably not the best choice.
Yeah.
So that being all said, I found out, I got the screenshots from their post. Your girl's a hot mess. Like, just, it's been a hot mess for 2 years. And so I was like, it was pulling teeth just to get the obituary in time of the service. And so I'm reaching out to my best friend back home in Maine, like, can you please like find the obituary? Can we find the services? And finally, like I'd reconnected with my foster brother and he was like, let me see what time the services are. So I reached out to foster mom. I said, I just want to let you know, I'll be there this weekend. And she's like, okay. And she's like, just to let you know, like, Nicole, like we're doing this how Nicole wants. This is about Nicole. I'm like, okay. I don't know. Like, I don't know why you're trying to pick a fight with me. Like, we were the first two in your home, the first two to enter, the first two to leave, and the first to lose. You lost one of us. Like, and so she was like trying to convince me, like, she didn't want me to go. So I said, I'm coming because I'm her sister and I have every right to be there. I was not allowed to stand and say anything about her. I was not included in how the service went. I was listed in the obituary as her biological sister. That was like a dig at me. It just, yeah, I've been left out. I've been left out on a lot of things. And so I went. And of course, like they saw me and their attitudes changed a little bit and whatnot. And they had photos, they had everything, but the service was an actual complete joke. It was a come back to God kind of thing. Like the whole thing should have been focused on my sister. And instead it was this whole thing about turning back to God. Because in the church, they think of suicide as a sin. So and my foster parents also work for the governor of Maine. Okay. So
What religion were they in?
they're Baptist. They're like Baptist, yeah.
Independent fundamental Baptists?
Not fundamental, no.
Okay, Southern Baptist?
Southern, or you want to call it Northern, sure.
Okay. Yeah.
So I put my foot down because I was like, because nobody's ever because like they're the kind of people that like you don't tell them no. So I was like, no, I'm showing up. I will be there. At this point, a $600 plane ticket is nothing to me. Like I'm going. This is my sister. And so yeah, they handled the pictures and everything like that beautifully. They sent some pictures off with me. They saved 3 photo albums for me. Like there's some things that they did right, but at the end of it, there's some things that I wish they hadn't done, and I don't agree with it. But I understand why they didn't tell me. And I guess like I don't agree. Like I said, I don't agree with it. But I understand now because my aunt showed up. So they asked. So I found out.
Did she find out?
Family. Yep.
The foster.
When I tell you, everybody knew except for me. Everybody. Bio family knew. Bio cousins knew. Everybody knew but me.
I don't understand why your biological family didn't contact you.
Exactly. And that's what I don't understand, because it was all hush hush, kept a secret. So my foster mom was like, because I didn't know bio family knew. I didn't know. Like I was reaching out to them thinking they didn't know. But lo and behold, they did know. And my foster mom had been in contact with my cousin. And she was like, okay, we don't have a problem telling you. You can come to the service, but you can't tell Cynthia. And Jen basically was like, I can't promise you that I'm not going to say something. So Cynthia gets on a plane from Arizona and flies out to Maine, thinking that she was going to be able to get into the doors of the church. My foster brother made it very well known the night before that mom and dad have security set up at the church. I was told, funny, my sister-in-law told me, yeah, I think they have security set up for you. I was like, why? Respectfully, you don't know me and you don't know my relationship with your in-laws.
What did they think you were going to do? And why did they think you were going to do something?
I laugh about it because it's like they don't really know that, like, when I was there, like, I was their world. They're not going to call security on me. Like, that's just ridiculous. Like, you clearly don't know the relationship I have with them. So come to find out, I was like, okay, there's only one or two people, birth mom or aunt, right? One or both are going to show up, right? So I'm like, oh, great. Sending pictures, sending here, send this picture, send that picture, relay that message. No, it was my aunt. And she showed up and she tried to get in and they're like, no, like the family's asked that you leave. And she's like, please let me just sit in the back. I won't say anything. I won't disturb. And literally she was walked down the steps, walked to her car by 10 security guards. I don't know what she was thinking because this was a first responder service. So I don't know what she was thinking showing up in a church parking lot full of cop cars.
Wow.
Right? Like, that's bold, right? Cop cars.
Yeah.
From different states.
So was it your aunt who was creating this narrative about you, saying you really need to be careful, Heather's going to come, she might do something during the service? Or was it somebody else that was creating this narrative about
My
you?
foster mom was, definitely. My foster parents, they think that I'm crazy and too emotional.
And they're getting that information from your aunt?
No, they're just, I don't
Or
know.
they're just basing that on how you were when you were 8 years old?
They're basing that off of how I was when I was with my aunt.
Okay.
Yeah, right. You can't. So they showed up. They escorted her off the property, and like my foster mom was livid. She's like, "Yeah, well, she showed up." I was like, "Well, this is the stuff that my aunt does. Like, she'll try to play the victim and the hero all in one." And she got told, she was warned, and it backfired. It literally backfired on her. So in that aspect, yes, my foster parents handled that great. Like, they were very protective of us in that manner. But they're in denial because she was like, yeah, well, like, Cynthia really hurt Nicole. And I was like, yeah, I know, I was there for all of it.
Mm-hmm.
So totally dismissing what I went through. So anyway, but not to bash them, not to shame them, because they were amazing parents to us. And anything ever happened to any kids in my care, like, I would want them to go to them because they're really good parents. But dynamics have changed. So it's just, yeah, that's how I found out. TikTok. Don't ever tell somebody that you loan that TikTok and Facebook are not the way to go.
How do you think that the cult affected her differently than it affected you?
My sister?
Yeah.
So, I mean, in the aspect of, like, my sister was never sexually abused or anything like that, so she didn't have to deal with all of that. But I think she got the upper hand a lot because she was the oldest one. So she really wasn't in the home when I was getting abused. She had to deal with, like, public humiliation and things like that. So I know that really got to her. And they have a tendency, the Pentecostal organizations have a tendency to pin you up against your family members and say things. And that's what they did to my sister and I. Like, they would just say lies about me to Nicole and vice versa, to the point where, like, we hated each other and we stopped talking. That's just because we believed it. We believed everything that was said. So we didn't really have, like, I know it changed her perspective on a lot of things as far as religion. Like, she's not active. Like, I remember she was saying how, like, my foster brother had told me, like, yeah, like, we tried to get her to come to church with us, and Nicole, like, got really angry and upset and was like, don't ever bring it up again, and I'm not going. And just, I think it really just destroyed her. Like,
Yeah.
but I think I think it really upset her more to be in that position where she felt like she couldn't stay to protect me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did she know what had happened to you?
No, she didn't know about the sexual abuse, but she knew I was being abused. She didn't know about the sexual abuse until 2017.
So eventually she found out.
I told her, yeah. I called and told her, yeah.
What was her reaction to that?
She wasn't surprised. Not that she knew, but she was like, I'm not surprised given what he did to his daughters. And she's like, I'm really, really sorry. You just have no idea, like, the guilt I have. Because, like, she was in college at the time. So there was just nothing she could have done. And she was just like, if you need me, like, to look into this legally, like, here at the station, I can. I never took her up on it. I should have, but it is what it is. And it's, yeah, she knew eventually.
Yeah. I was immediately thinking, as your older sister, she probably did carry a lot of guilt that she wasn't able to process. Which a lot of times that is one of the main reasons why people do commit suicide, and it's very
Mhm.
tragic and horrible.
Yeah, she even found my Instagram. She found my Instagram account. And I knew she was watching. Like, she's literally seeing me call out details and name names. And I knew that that was triggering her own. She never dealt with it. And then going to work, being at the police department and dealing with everything and dealing with a traffic stop of a gunshot. And that was it.
Did she leave a note or a
She
message?
did. Yeah, I am not allowed to have access to that because it was not addressed to me. Actually, I don't think it was addressed to anybody. um
It was just like a general,
it was a general. So she
anyone
left
reads this?
she left her phone. It was next to her phone. And in the note, like at the top of the note, it had the code to her phone. It had all the codes to everything. And she left a video. I will never see that video. Um, unfortunately. And there was a note. When I called the autopsy place, they said there is a note. And I said, I know you can't give it to me because it's not addressed to me, but can you read to me what was in the note? And they read it. And I was like, okay, it's kind of making sense now. And then there was some psychiatric drugs in her system.
Okay.
Yeah, mixed with alcohol. And it was planned. It was definitely planned.
That's so tragic.
And I asked my foster sister, I was like, what led up to all of this? And basically, she missed a day of work, which is always the first sign, you guys. Like, that's the first sign you miss a day of work. Like, you don't show up for work. And then she missed her birthday party. So, like, she's never missed a birthday. And that's kind of rang like an alarm with my foster parents. That's not like Nicole to not show up. And then she didn't show up for work the next day. So when I called, because I called her and texted her on the 3rd. So I was a day late. And the plot twist to this whole story is that on May 28th, which is my birthday, I attempted to take my life. And then 3 months later, my sister. So it's just and I don't really want to see the video. I don't think I need to see it, but I don't even know where she was buried. And then my sister had a dog, and the dog passed away like 6 months after.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So they were buried together. I mean, she died a hero. I mean, routine traffic stop gone wrong in Dorchester, Mass. Sergeant got shot and she saved his life. So
Wow.
one phone call is all it took. I know that there's a lot of trauma there. And they told her she signed up for it. It's like she reached out for help multiple times, and they told her she signed up for it. She'll get over it. She needs to get over it.
Oh my gosh, that's terrible.
Yeah. Yeah.
There isn't enough resources for our first responders. I will say that.
Nope.
Yeah. It's just the stuff that they see on the front lines every day is just
Yep.
it's more than most veterans will ever see.
And then she was also there for the Boston Marathon bombing. She took all those calls. So for her, that's like a day that, like, I know a lot of people like celebrate the Boston Marathon, right? But like, she's like, that's not a day I want to remember. And so, like, PTSD, right?
Yep.
Makes sense that that she did it. And I get it. I understand because I've been there. I've been there too many times to count in the last 2 years. So I get it. I understand.
What was the moment that you knew that you needed to tell your story publicly? That you were
2020.
like, I'm
Yeah.
gonna write a book. That's when you decided I'm writing this book. Or was it more just like you're putting it out on social media first and then you figured,
I put it out on social media first. And then I was like, to get the support, because I had looked at legal action. I talked to lawyers, and I will say, if you're not ready to talk to a lawyer and deal with the trauma, I would wait because it will bite you in the butt. And it did just that. I thought like I was gun ho, I got this, I can handle this. And I remember I missed a week's worth of work because I was so traumatized. And so I was reliving. And I actually had I had a female lawyer actually shame me and mock me for not reporting it sooner. I reported her, but I was
what?
like, yo, bro. Yeah.
What?
Yeah. I left a review and they saw the review and they called me and I was like, this is not acceptable. And this lawyer had been in a cult herself. So I was like, I'm like, okay, so now you're gonna sit here and shame me? Like I was a child.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I was a child. So I don't I just was I did talk to a lawyer. We made a police report in 2021 and they had to close the case because of the statute of limitations. So at this point, anything legal I choose to do, it's going to be civil
Yeah.
at this point, unfortunately. And
Yeah.
trust me, my aunt is number one on this list. Making that abundantly loud and clear. I hold no bar. Like just because she's my aunt doesn't make it okay.
Yeah.
Does not. It's almost as like you might as well just handed her the weapon.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's basically kind of what happened.
Well,
So
she helped facilitate it.
yeah, exactly. So she's going to be the one that's going to be held accountable first and foremost before the other two. But yeah, so I went live on TikTok with it, and I have a lot of people on TikTok that rally behind me and support me. I'm also on other social media platforms. Right now I'm on Chatter Social, and I've been sharing it on there in different rooms with a small group of people that like know who I am and know my story. And so they're like, yeah, we're gonna help you. And then my friend, 2 years ago, I picked up the whole book thing again. I was like, okay, I'm just gonna write.
What's the name of the book?
So the name of the book, the name of the book is The Barbie Pink Walls That Kept My Secrets of Abuse. The title was inspired by one of the chapters in the book. And that's what did it. And I hate pink for all that need to know. Pink is a very triggering coloring for me because that is the color of the walls of my bedroom during the time of the abuse. I
Yeah.
don't like wearing it. I don't like seeing it.
Yeah.
So it was inspired. The pictures, everything, the artwork, the pictures, like I really wanted my sister to come out through that. And I tell you, my sister co-wrote this, like her hand is all through this, like pictures of my sister. Everything is laid out beautifully. They're not long chapters. They're really not. They're about probably a page and a half. If they're more than that, I put them into two separate chapters, like part one, part two, just because it was too long. I will say it is a lot of talk about suicide, sexual abuse, and trauma. So FYI, it is not going to be a pleasant, it's not meant to feel good, but it is to call out the abuse. Absolutely, 100%.
I always tell people that for those who are survivors of abuse in any form, how you can take something bad that happened to you, right? That you absolutely didn't deserve whatsoever, and create something good out of that to where you're able to help other people. You're able to bring awareness. You're able to tell your story. And even down to the cover, you have reclaimed even the color pink, which I think is so cool that you were able to do that. And it really does show, Heather, how far you have come in your healing journey, even though you might have days where it doesn't feel like it. You really like that shows me you have really come quite a ways in the short time that you have. Okay, so where can people find your book?
It is on Amazon, The Barbie Pink Walls That Kept My Secrets of Abuse, and there'll be a link. We'll attach that. But hardcover paperback and the Kindle version.
Cool. Awesome. So are you ever going to do Audible or to do an audio version of it?
Probably not this round.
Not this round.
No.
Hey, so is there more books coming?
Probably, yes.
Well, before we close out, what do you hope that the readers will feel after reading your book?
Yeah. So, how do I answer this question? Because I want to be blunt and honest.
Be blunt and honest. That's what we want.
Yeah. You're gonna get triggered. You're either gonna be triggered and you're gonna go heal your or you're gonna get triggered and you're gonna come after me. That's just how it's gonna go. Because this does gear towards religion and Christianity and the church. And it's okay to sit in somebody else's crap. It's okay to be uncomfortable. And this is where I wish the church at large would wake up, because if you started sitting and being uncomfortable in other people's pain and actually listening to them and actually caring, like, your church might be a little bit better. There's no sugarcoating it. Like, you're losing your members because the abuse isn't being called out. The people doing the abuse are not being held accountable. And I've said it again so many times in different platforms to different people. You want the change. You want it to be different. You want the abuse to stop. It stops inside the church. Like, it starts with the people inside the church. The people inside the church need to stand up to it and say, hey, I'm reporting you. That's how the change is gonna, because we can do all the change we want on the outside, and we can write the books, and we can do the podcast, and we can do the TikTok things, and we can do all, and those things are all great. But the abuse is still going on. So it's kind of one of those books where it's like it's a wake up call to Christians at large. Like, wake up! This is happening in your backyard, and it's not just the male pastors doing the abusing; it's female pastors too. I said what I said. I literally just got a message from a female pastor who is supposed to be someone like my mother to me, withdrawing her support from me because this book is not leading people to God. Yeah, this is not one of those books. You are not going to find scriptures in this book. I want to make that loud and clear. This is not a book that is going to save your soul, that's going to bring you closer to Jesus. In fact, if anything, try to further apart. But I'm just being honest, because it's not one of those feel good books. There's going to be things in there that you're going to read that are like, oh, I can't believe I just read this. There's things in there that I read, and I'm like, did I really just write that? I did it because there's a child that is going through exactly what I went through. A child is going to see that book and pick that book up because they're going to see the Barbie doll, and they're going to think, oh, and they're going to read this book, and they're like, oh crap, if Heather got out, I can get out. Because it's for anybody 13 or older. So there's gonna be a kid, there's going to be a teenager in a church, in a youth group, in a youth camp, that's going to see this book, or somebody's gonna have it, and they're like, oh, I need to get out of here too. There's a page in the back of the book with my contact information, email, everything. Like, you can reach out to me, because people are going to start reaching out. So this book is either going to wake you up to the point where you're going to want to go heal your own stuff. I'm going to receive the repercussions for it. And I already have. So that's, sorry, I'm not going to sugarcoat it.
Yeah, no, I'm glad that you were very candid about that, and appreciate that for those listening that are interested in the book. I mean, there's your trigger warning, guys, but definitely get her book, go support Heather. And Heather, where can people find you on socials?
So I'm on the TikTok. I am on Instagram. I am on some other social media platforms, Clubhouse and Chatter. You have to download the app to find me, to get to me though, or you can reach out to me via email.
Okay, so, and then they would find you under just Heather Ford or
Religious Cult Survivor 1006.
Okay, gotcha. Well, Heather, thank you so much for telling your story and spending this time with us. We really appreciate you and wish you the best with your book and everything
Thank
else you
you.
got coming up. So
I know, right?
yeah, it's
I need some
exciting.
book signings. That's what I need.
Yes, you should totally set that up. Then we can like all meet up. That'd be cool.
I need some connections though.
Anyone that has connections, reach out to
What?
Heather.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for coming on today, Heather.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for listening to this episode and for holding space for Heather's story. It takes tremendous courage to speak openly about abuse, trauma, and loss, especially when those experiences are tied to systems and communities that were supposed to provide safety and faith. Heather's willingness to share her story not only is an act of healing for herself, but it also brings awareness to others who may still be struggling in silence. If Heather's story resonated with you, her memoir dives even deeper into her journey. From growing up in the Pentecostal cult to finding the strength to reclaim her life and her voice. I'll include information in the show notes about her book where you can learn more about her work. And as always, if today's conversation brought up difficult feelings for you, please remember you're not alone and support is available. Thank you so much for being here, for listening, and for continuing to support conversations like this one. Before we close out, I just want to share a quick reminder. The stories told on this podcast are personal experiences and perspectives. They're shared to create awareness and connection, not as medical, legal, or mental health advice. Some of the conversations here focus on abuse, trauma, and other heavy topics, so please take care of yourself while listening. It's always okay to pause, skip an episode, or step away if you need to. And if anything we talked about brings something up to you, we encourage you to reach out to a trusted professional or support resource. You don't have to carry any of this alone. Thank you for listening.